They say blood is thicker than water, but for Elias, blood was just a debt he could never finish paying. His two sons, Marcus and Julian, lived in glass towers in the city, while Elias lived in a small, weathered shed that smelled of damp wood and deep-seated regret. They didn't visit to see if he was breathing. They visited to ask when he was finally going to sell the land he sat on. But Elias had a secret, one hidden behind a rusted steel door in his basement. A secret that would either save his family or destroy their souls forever. If you believe a father's love has no limits, hit that subscribe button right now. We are building a community of storytellers who value the truth, and you don't want to miss what happens next. Elias was once a master watchmaker, a man who sacrificed his eyesight and his health to put his sons through the most elite schools in the country. Now that they had reached the top, they viewed their father as an embarrassment to their rank. Marcus was a cold-hearted dog, and Julian was a failing socialite. Every time they pulled up in the luxury cars, Elias would reach into his pocket and try to hand them a small, hand-carved wooden coin. They would laugh, knocking the coins into the dirt. "Keep your junk, old man," Marcus would sneer. "Just sign the deed so we can build the resort." One evening, a massive storm tore through the valley. The winds were so fierce they leveled the old shed to the ground. When the sons received the call, they didn't cry. They drove down immediately, hoping the deed to the land had finally been freed from the old man's grip. They found Elias in a hospital bed, hooked to machines, unable to speak or move. Without a second thought, they rushed back to the ruins of the house, not to rebuild, but to scavenge. As they dug through the mud and broken timber, they found something that shouldn't have been there. Bolted deep into the bedrock of the basement was a heavy, black steel safe. Why would a man who couldn't afford a loaf of bread have a reinforced vault hidden under his floorboards? Before we reveal what was inside, drop a like on this video if you think the sons are about to get exactly what they deserve. It helps the channel more than you know. They spent 6 hours in the rain, using power tools and crowbars to force the door open. They expected gold bars. They expected a secret stash of cash, or at least a deed to the property. When the door finally groaned and popped open, their faces fell. There was no money. Instead, the safe was packed with hundreds of legal letters addressed to the debt collectors. As Marcus read the first letter, his hands began to shake. Elias wasn't poor because he was a failure. He was poor because for 30 years, he had been secretly paying off a massive, multi-million-dollar legal settlement for a hit-and-run accident Marcus had caused in college. An accident Marcus had forgotten because his father took the blame, the shame, and the financial ruin to keep his son out of prison. Elias had worked every night until his eyes failed him, skipping meals and living in a shed, just to make sure the victims were paid and his son's record stayed clean. He had traded his life so Marcus could have his. The sons stood in the mud, realizing that the junk wooden coins they had mocked and thrown in the dirt were actually the hand-carved keys to the safe's secondary compartment. They fell to their knees, desperately digging through the filth to find what they had discarded. When they found them and opened the final drawer, they found a single gold watch, the finest Elias ever made, with a note that read, "Time is the only thing you can't buy. Use what's left of yours to be a better man. You don't build a house, you build your future. Every shortcut is a debt you will eventually have to pay." Elias's life reflected his standards, while his sons' lives reflected their greed. Only one survived the storm. If this story touched you, comment the word "time" down below to show you're calling your parents today. And if you're someone who values deep, emotional stories that teach a lesson, make sure to check out our other videos. Your support helps us keep telling the stories that matter. See you in the next one.